Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Chelsea. And welcome to
Nick and Chelsea's Gen Excellent Adventure, where we chronicle 50-something parents of a 5-year-old as we move from the USA to the UAE.
You can also follow our journey on our Instagram page, Nick Chels Gen Excellent Adventure, or just type in the name of this podcast. If you have any questions or subjects you'd like us to address, go ahead and send them through our Instagram page.
And in this episode, we're going to discuss what it was like being back in the Seattle area for the holidays and the importance of connection, what it was like coming back to Dubai after 2.5 weeks away with family and friends, and sort of the whole process of the going home and coming back.
Exactly. And that might not sound very interesting to you. I don't know. But if this were me listening to somebody doing their first trip home after being abroad, I would be absolutely compelled to listen.
All right. Well, let's start off with, I guess, the trip back to Seattle. What was it like basically flying back home?
Well, first of all, we fly on Emirates, or at least we flew on Emirates this time. It's the only airline that goes direct from Seattle to Dubai and back, and it is once a day. Mm-hmm. So that's what we flew, and we flew back with our parents. So we all went together. And let's just talk about Emirates really quick as an airline. It is lovely.
Yeah. I mean, they're a luxury airline.
Yeah.
And we are not sitting in the luxury seats, though. Let's just say that.
Your dad is.
Let's just point out that we're not in first class or business class. We're not in our own little cubby hole where you get like a gigantic screen to look at and everything like that. You can kick your feet up.
Yeah.
We're in the regular old airplane seats.
Yes. And even so, there's a little bit more legroom, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
A little bit more legroom. They feed you no matter what. They feed you a lot, actually. I'm always like, wait, you don't have to say yes to the snack because you're going to get dinner and breakfast. So I don't need all three. And because the meals are quite big.
Yeah,
if you eat every part of it, you're getting so full.
I've definitely been on longer flights where I was regretting that I had not brought food with me onto the plane because I got hungry.
Yeah.
That was never a problem on any of the Emirates flights that we've been on.
And then the entertainment is, it's unending. Like you could watch for hours an hour. You could watch all 14 hours if you want to. I'm sure some people do. There is so much to see. I do watch a fair amount of the time because I cannot sleep well on planes. I might doze for a little bit. I really kind of know there's stuff happening around me. But I appreciate that. Sometimes I actually tried to download some things onto my iPad and it didn't work. So I was like, I'll just watch some of the things I brought. No reason. Why did I even bother? Emirates has so many things. So including like Hallmark style Christmas movies.
Yes. Well, you brought up a very important part that it is a 14-hour flight between Dubai and Seattle. Yeah. And so you've got a lot of time to deal with there. And especially when you have a 5-year-old that you're flying with. Yeah.
And so on the way home, our kid, what we have learned is our kid does get nervous. He doesn't know what he's feeling always. He can't always speak about it, but he was very nervous to go home. And we really saw that in his behavior on the flight and before the flight, because on the way back, he wasn't as nervous and it was so much better. So he only got about 3 hours of sleep on the flight, which is not nearly enough for when you lose a whole night of sleep. So that made it a little bit more difficult, but even so, it's a great flight experience, even with that difficulty.
Yeah. And when we talk about you could watch something the entire 14 hours, pretty sure T would be happy to watch something the entire 14 hours.
Indeed, he would. We have to make sure that we don't start watching anything right away because otherwise it's very hard to tear him away from it. He is that kid that cannot put down a screen and fights you all the time about it. So we just can't do it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, anytime you're flying from one side of the world to the other, you're going to have some serious jet lag.
Yes.
And, we are literally across the earth.
Yes.
We are 12 hours time difference right now with it being standard time back in the Seattle area. So that jet lag is a real challenge to overcome.
Truly. So how did that go? When we got home, how was the jet lag? How did that show up for us?
Well, number one, it showed up for T.
Oh.
And he's waking up at 1:30 in the morning and not going back to sleep. Or he's waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning and after an hour, you can get him back to sleep, and that's a couple days in. It was a challenge for him in particular. I mean, it was, I would say it took him a good week before he slept through the night at least a week.
And Nick is the self-sacrificing parent of the two of us, so he gets up with T and then comes and gets me when he can't take it any longer. And so basically I got up with T at 5 for a couple nights after Nick had been up with him for hours, and then I got him back to bed, but like an hour later. And he would go to sleep at 6 and stay asleep for another couple of hours. But yeah, it was the first week. We were there 2.5 weeks. The whole first week was pretty rough for sleep.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that even if he's getting a weird night's sleep or an off night's sleep, he does get through the day pretty well.
Right.
He doesn't he's not one of those kids where if he didn't get the right sleep, he's going to be melting down all day.
No, he might get to a meltdown point when he gets extra tired. But yeah, it's definitely, he is pretty even keel. He's a pretty happy kid. So he doesn't stay in a mood too long. And
when we were trying to keep him up, I mean, we are kind of able to keep him up. He's not falling asleep at 4 in the afternoon or anything.
No.
We can get him to bedtime. Now, part of that is because we can still get him to nap.
Yes, right. So, and we do that. If he's in this kind of state, we will make sure he gets a nap. Otherwise, nobody is going to get through the day.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty fortunate that ever since he was a baby, he's been a good sleeper, a good napper.
Yeah.
And because of that, and able to kind of roll with it. It didn't need to have his naps at the exact same time every day. Didn't have to be the exact same length every day. And he's carried that into his,
his school years.
Years. Yeah. And that, during school days, obviously he's not napping because there's no time to do it.
But occasionally he'll come home and take a nap after a really few days of being exhausted.
And if we have a busy weekend, I mean, we can usually get him down to nap and to just have a little later night that night.
Yeah, and that's fine because it does make the whole day better if he just gets that little bit of sleep in the middle of it.
Yeah. So anyway, we eventually got over that jet lag. All of us. I mean, I think you and I would have gotten over it faster if we weren't woken up in the middle of the night all the time.
I mean, we kind of know the techniques. Stay up until you would go to bed anyway, and don't let yourself go to bed super early or you're not going to get the night's sleep that you want. That works for us if we don't have a small child that we have to handle. Anyway, okay, so that was the jet lag. It definitely informed our week, made things a little interesting, but it was okay. The other thing that was a big change when we got there, besides our lack of sleep, was the weather.
Yeah, I was a little concerned going back whether I would be able to adjust back to Seattle weather. It's pretty easy to get used to the weather here in Dubai, especially during the winter.
Yeah.
When it had gotten pretty nice by the time we were leaving. And, we hadn't seen a lick of rain.
Yeah.
And we know we were going back. It was actually flooding right before we got back to Seattle.
They were dealing with the atmospheric river that happens, it seems like every winter these days, multiple times.
But I would say that, for me at least, going back, it became very familiar very quickly.
Good. Now,
part of that is we just happened to come back and the first day was unseasonably warm.
And sunny.
Yeah, it was like mid to upper 50s in December, which is not normal for December in Seattle.
Yeah, actually was. I don't remember if it was sunny, but it wasn't that cold. It got colder, for sure. But yeah, it made it a little bit easier. And we had a play date the very next day. We set that up, had this play date for T with a friend from preschool and T-ball. And they just went to a playground we used to go to all the time and had a great time. So it was nice to be outside and we weren't really, really freezing. You also, I think, like the sun even more than I do. And I was not at all worried about the weather. But hearing you where I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. I get hot easily now. You don't the same way. So it makes sense. T, however, unexpectedly surprised me with how much he didn't like the weather. I was like, oh, we haven't been gone that long. You did outdoor preschool for 2.5 years in this weather. What's the issue?
And, this is T has mentioned how hot it is here in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
So you were thinking that he would be quite happy to get out of the heat for a little while.
Yeah. And so he was like, Mommy, it's cold. Like, yeah, he wanted to wear shorts one day. We're like, no. Anyway, so it definitely was some weather adjustment, but it wasn't awful. It got colder because I went on a hill, like a hilly walk with a friend, and everywhere is a hilly walk in the Seattle area, but especially the neighborhood we used to live in, which is Seward Park. It's very, very hilly. And we did that on, I think, the third day we were there. And I was quite cold, but I had lots of layers. I was like, I'm dressed in like a Seattle person. It was good. I did actually take them up for walking up the hills. It was great. It felt really nice to walk up hills. I got really good exercise one day of the entire time we were there, but it felt good. I loved being outside in the fresh air and just having a conversation with a friend.
Well, and one thing that we now thought ahead about is that we left some cold weather clothes here or I should say there in Seattle for us to have when we arrived. Like I barely packed any clothes. I just knew I was going to be living off the clothes that I'd left behind.
Yeah.
And that made actually, my suitcase nice and light.
Yes.
And, do I feel like I had the right thing? Yeah, I think I, for the most part, had the right stuff for what I needed.
We left all our winter clothes basically back in Seattle. We left them at my mom's place, and we were staying there for a break. So she was very gracious to let us put them in a combination of places, mostly her garage, but also there were some things in closets, like our coats and stuff were in closets. And so it was really easily accessible. We didn't really need to go search for them anywhere, and we just used them. However, I did bring some back to Dubai, some winter clothes, because I learned by living here in air conditioning in my office, I actually needed more winter clothes than I had realized.
Well, yes, that was good. What was less good is, we had left winter clothes there for T.
Yeah.
Well, he's grown since we've been here. And so some of those, particularly the pants, were a little short on him.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of like trying to cycle through the same 3 pairs of pants.
Yeah.
And also going, well, you're just going to be having a little different fashion statement here with the high waters.
Yep. And we brought back some clothes for him from Dubai. They're a little lighter weight, but we did have some fitting pants for him that we brought back. But it was a little bit weird. We're like, oh, okay. We need some. Well, we don't really want to buy these because you're not gonna fit in them next winter if we buy them. So we'll just leave it.
The other thing that was a little challenging is that we weren't able to layer him quite the same way we layered ourselves because we had no short sleeve shirts for him there in Seattle.
Yeah.
And we didn't really bring any with us back from Dubai.
Yeah, we thought we had some there and we didn't. Oops.
So that's a lesson learned. Next time we're back, we're bringing short sleeve shirts with us.
Yeah. He was okay though. We had layers of coats. We had like thinner jackets and thicker jackets. He never wore the down jacket. He was really fine. He had a great time. One of the things that was nice about being back in Seattle was the outdoors in general are just really beautiful there. And we had our, played it outside. I said I had a hill walk. Well, the hill walk includes Seward Park. I mean, it was really quite beautiful. And then T got to climb trees. Mm-hmm. We went to Volunteer Park. He did a few different parks, and even just being outside at my sister's house because she has a nice backyard area. I think just everything was a good opportunity to enjoy being in the fresh, cool air, the fresh air. I really love the fresh air.
With a lot of green.
With a lot of green. Yes, absolutely. No, it's not like there's zero green here, especially when we go to places like the Pond Park or Dubai Hills Park. There is a lot of green, but it's not the same.
No.
And the fresh air, Dubai just doesn't have the same level of fresh air. So I was soaking it up. I was really, really appreciating that. And then the last thing I'll say about just being outside in the fresh air that I really loved, we did some of our traditions that we do every year for Christmas. And one of them that our little family does just by ourselves is we always go to this house in West Seattle called the Menashe House. And it's a family. They have decorated this beautiful house that I think is on the water. You can't see the water from where you were looking at the decorations, but it is, I believe it's on the water. And they just do this for the community. They've been doing it, I think, for decades. They're like family jewelers. They have a jewelry shop in West Seattle, and people just come. And it's one of those houses that's like intensely decorated, from nativity scenes to carousels, trains, or what are those called? Blow up things.
Yeah.
You have everything under the sun, and you're trying to figure out what's new this year. Is anything new this year? I don't know. Was that there last year? But it's kind of fun to try and figure it out. We've been going since T was born, I think.
Yeah, I would say I think the first time was probably before.
Yeah, that's true. We probably went. And there's nowhere else that we go consistently every year. And we thought we wouldn't get it in. But then kind of last minute, a different plan changed and we got it in.
And this is a nice combination of religious and secular celebrations of the holidays.
Which is really my favorite
you have,
combo.
The manger scene right next to Frosty the Snowman.
Right, exactly.
It is, it's jam-packed. It is a tourist attraction. We have been there when tour buses have pulled up and parked.
That's true. I forgot about that. But it's also sweet. People will walk around, ask you to take their photos, offer to take yours. You see people walking from other neighborhoods. You also see people driving like we do and just going in. I love West Seattle so much. I've said for years, like, if we lived there, I would probably try to buy a house there someday. It's a lovely community, but this is just one of those sweet things that they do. There are other places around Seattle that also have great Christmas traditions, but for some reason, I'm just very drawn to the Menashe house.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that in mind, we can talk about some of the other things that made this trip feel really good. We're very much focused on connection.
Yeah. And especially for T.
Yes.
Yeah. One thing that in our first 5 months here in Dubai, T has found people and has had some community, but he hasn't had the real, like you like to call them, heart friends.
Yes,
that hasn't developed here quite yet.
No, and I know it's early, but when you can tell your child isn't fully loving life, and he is a generally joyful person, but you could just tell. You feel the heart. You feel a little heart sick about it, So, it really going home was really about connection. Mm-hmm. It was like, how much can we help him stay connected? Now, you had a really good idea, and you mentioned it to me after we were there for several days. I was really grateful for that because I had thought of it, but I hadn't done it. And you made sure to call Seattle, or Grandma's house or Bachan and Graham's house. You made sure to use it to use those terms, and made sure to call Dubai home. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really smart because we didn't want T to think of Seattle as home and then not think of Dubai as home.
Right. We didn't want him to think that, we're back.
Yes.
And then be disappointed when we went back to Dubai.
Yeah. And so we made sure we referenced home and Dubai a fair amount. Well, I switched the way I was talking once you mentioned that. And at the same time made sure he got lots of time with all the people we love, which is at home still for me in my heart, still our home. And I would say that was useful. We can talk a little bit more about returning, but later, but that connection, you saw him change in our 2.5 weeks there.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was crazy nervous on the way home. And that was true because he hadn't seen these people in a long time and he didn't know what it would be like. And every time he would see somebody that he hadn't seen in a long time, he would be nervous. But then within 5 minutes, it would be fine. He'd usually like, hi, and then run away. And he did that with a couple of friends. But then he stopped doing it. He just started enjoying it. He became himself again. Mm-hmm. And so he had sleepovers with his cousin twice, at my sister's house. He had sleepovers with his grandparents, with your parents at their condo. Of course, he stayed with my grandma, or with my mom, grandma. He had Christmas with Papa and Nana, and then my whole family on that side. He visited, or he also saw his cousins on your side a couple times, both at a birthday and then again on Christmas Eve. But then one of them was not there. So we were grateful for the birthday. And then we did some of our traditions at Christmas. And then we had a couple play dates. And then we also met up with like one of his former preschool teachers who we adore as a friend. And you just saw him like being himself, but maybe even a little bit more mature, but sometimes reverting depending on who he was around. And I would say that gave us a sense of community, all of us, but it especially gave him one. Oh, and of course I took him to Sunday school. We go to Sunday school when we're back in Seattle, and he loved that time too. So we got 3 weeks of that with other kids, in addition to some spiritual learning. And even like the Sunday school teachers told me afterwards, let's start doing this with him by Zoom. I'm like, what? Thank you. So like all of these things just were building connection and building community, or that feeling of. And when we came back, he was different. And my mom said it well. She was like, it probably built his confidence. I was like, oh, that is what happened. It built his confidence so that when he came back, he felt like himself again.
Yeah. You could see that even around other kids. He was feeling a much more comfortable socially.
Yeah.
After we got back, because he, being home, or I should say being in Seattle.
Yeah.
I correct myself there.
Yeah.
Got him to a better space in his own head, I think.
Yes. It really did seem to. It's like by remembering who he is and always has been, he could bring that here. And now he actually knows people. So it's like he kind of inserted this version of himself back into his world. Now, T can be drawn to the biggest personalities who don't always make the best decisions. That's happening now just as it was before. But it just feels like he's still a better version of himself. I am really appreciating this. And in all of this, as we were watching that and so forth and looking at him building community, it became a big goal to build community here. And so that when we came back, we're being more intentional. Now that we're back, we're being more intentional about finding ways to build community for him.
Yeah. Well, and, you talk about that intentionality. I mean, there was a lot of intentionality with what we did back in the States.
Yes.
I mean, that really was goal number one, is to make sure that he got those connection points. And, that had us very scheduled.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
That 2.5 weeks was incredibly busy 2.5 weeks. We are talking 2-3 scheduled things a day.
Yes.
Yeah. Which, that was we were used up a lot of energy during those 2.5
we were
weeks.
definitely exhausted. And as people say, when you have holidays with family or quote unquote vacations with family, it's never, or even just with your kids, it's never an actual vacation. That's accurate. I also had like a few people say, but was it worth it? I was like, yeah, it was 100% worth it. Mm-hmm. We did all those things to help our kid feel connected, and also so that we could connect, because we also were needing more community, I think. And it worked. Mm-hmm. It did work. So it was hard, exhausting. If we had another week, we could have spread it out a little bit more. But we did promise to ourselves, okay, when we're back for a month this summer, we got to schedule in some down days, some unplanned days. Okay.
All right. So, of course, the occasion, it was the holiday seasons. And
yes.
For us, that means Christmas.
Yep.
And so we have a 5-year-old with Christmas. So how did Christmas go for the 5-year-old?
Yeah, I think everybody who has a kid knows that it just gets better and better. I don't know when it stops getting better, but last year was a great year, right? When he was 4, I felt like, oh, he finally understands Santa, presents. I don't want presents to be everything about Christmas, and we are pretty careful about that, but he understands it. Seeing the tree for the first time, all lit up, decorating it, like all that. Same thing this year. We decorated my mom's tree. He enjoyed that mostly. He loved meeting Santa, which we did in Dubai. He also met Santa again in Seattle, but like he loves it. And we also talk about like giving giving. We try to make sure we don't allow him only to get presents. He has to also give presents to all of his grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
So we go and pick out the gifts together. He has a hand in that. And then he hands them out to them and watches them open them. And he has to be a part of that whole experience. So because of that, Christmas is even more meaningful because he is a part of the giving. Mm-hmm. And of course, presents aren't the only thing Christmas is about. And we do talk about that too. But as far as that part of it, it's a very fulfilling experience to be with a 5-year-old when they're giving and fully joyful about the whole experience.
It is interesting the ways that it's different from year to year as they're growing up, though.
Yeah.
Like he has a more, I guess, a different understanding of the role of Santa now. And
yes.
Because, you know, he had visited Santa here in Dubai.
Yeah.
And, you know, and of course, Santa is asking what he wants for Christmas.
Oh, and last year he asked what he wanted to. And I think the year before, we always forget to prep him about that. This time while we were in line, you were not there, but I was with my mom. I was like, T, Santa's going to ask you what you want for Christmas. Do you have an answer? And he was like, I don't know. And you could see him look panicked. But we had like 10 minutes to wait. So he then came up with a Hot Wheels transporter.
Yeah, he wanted basically a car carrier truck that could carry his Hot Wheels cars.
Yeah. And his little buddy has one who is our family friend around the corner. And he's been there several times and he always plays with it. And I was like, okay. And so he told Santa that and he was very proud of that. And then, like, fast forward 2 weeks later, it's right before Christmas, like maybe 2 days or maybe even the day before. And he says, oh, I changed my mind. Santa's going to bring me blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know, by then, of course, we've purchased the transporter. And, you know, we knew we could pack it, take it back. I don't remember what the other thing he had decided he wanted instead was, but we were not going to be able to get it. And I was like, you know, T, it's too late to tell Santa this. Like, he's already prepared your gift. So I don't think that Santa's going to get this memo. You might want to hold on to that for next year. And he looked pretty disappointed, but I really talked him through it. I was like, you've got to let Santa know with enough time. And you're telling me right now, I can't get that message to Santa fast enough. He's already done for the year. So he was like, okay. So then on Christmas morning, what happens?
So, you know, he's opening up all his presents and we kind of saved his Santa gifts until the end.
His biggest one, especially.
And then that was the last one. But all along, he's basically telling them, Santa brought me the car transporter because I ordered it from Santa.
Yeah. He was like, I think what he said specifically, it was something like that. I think what he said specifically was, I'm going to get the Hot Wheels transporter. And I was like, how do you know that? Because I ordered it from Santa. I was like, indeed.
Yeah. Well, welcome to not just the year
man.
2026.
Oh, man.
But also Dubai 2026, where
Yeah.
you can order anything you want.
Oh, my gosh. I know.
And apparently Santa is kind of on the same level as Amazon.
Yeah, I know. I was like, it's not like we're immune to ordering things in Seattle, but just so much more here. It was pretty funny. So I ordered it from Santa. Maybe that can be your child's line in the future. So some additional notes from Seattle that might be fun to talk about.
Well, I think that one thing that you made sure was going to happen is that we got some theater experiences.
Yes. You know me. I love the theater.
And it's just far more available there in the Seattle area than it is here in Dubai.
Far more. There's just so many.
Yeah.
So many of them and so many options. Yeah. So what's the one you liked the most? We did really 3 things that are sort of theatrical.
Well, why don't you
Okay. Here's what
list
they were.
them off.
We did a panto in Seattle. We also did a panto in Dubai. So I thought maybe we could compare those a little bit. We also went to the Lion King, the Broadway touring production. And then we went to an improv show because we love improv and Nick especially loves improv.
Yes, that one was without tea.
Yes, of course. Although kids were there. What was that one?
That was an improvised version of A Christmas Carol
Yes.
that they do. This one particular improv company in Seattle, they do that every year. And
Yep.
we've actually seen it previously.
Yes.
So we got to kind of, I think, a pretty cool experience because we knew how it went.
Yes.
But we got to see all the suggestions completely different than from the first time we saw it.
Yeah. And this, when we saw it before, I think we went to the late show or a later show, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there were less kids there. So this one was way more family friendly because they made sure that the suggestions were keeping all the kids they could see in mind. But it was fun. We went with friends who had not seen it. You and our friend had done improv classes together, and we've been to these shows. We've been to shows at this company before together. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. It was not my favorite, if you're asking my favorites.
Of the things that we did.
Yes,
Yeah.
of those three.
Yeah.
I think my favorite was the panto.
I figured you would say that.
And there's a number of reasons for that. So people who don't know, panto is basically a British tradition.
Yeah.
And what they do is they take sort of a popular fairy tale or a story or something like that, and they kind of make it sort of farcical.
Yeah.
And it's a very audience participatory sort of situation where you're supposed to cheer when certain characters get onto the stage or boo and hiss when other ones, or so you call in response like, "Oh no, you didn't. Oh yes, you did." That sort of thing. They have a small little live band. I mean, where we saw this panto was it's very much a community theater experience.
It's not even a community theater. It's a community club that has a small stage.
Yeah. But the point is these aren't professionals that are doing this or anything
No,
like that.
it is a community theater company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they set it up so that all the kids can come sit on the rug right there in front of the stage.
Yeah.
And that was one of the, I think, really special things is seeing T get so into it from a watching perspective.
He really does value performance. He does. I am so proud of this. And I think a lot of kids do. But I do think, the earlier you introduce them to this kind of thing, the more likely they will appreciate performance. And with a panto, he doesn't need this, but if you are somebody who can't sit still or who can't can't stop talking during something, a panto's still okay. Like, these kids can go. It's still okay.
One really fun part is that they basically built in a scene just for the kids, where three of the characters just end up kind of traipsing through the woods saying, "We don't believe in ghosts." And then somebody with a sheet draped over them, sort of comes in behind them so that all the kids can shout and point, "There's a ghost behind you!"
Yeah. Look behind you.
Yeah. And the kids really, really got into that.
They really did.
And you could see T standing up and pointing.
I know. It was so cute.
Yeah, it was great. And
one of the best things about the panto, which we did not plan and was completely unexpected, is he ran into one of his former preschool buddies there.
Yeah, completely coincidental.
It was amazing. And they hadn't even been at the preschool all year, but they had really connected. And he'd gone to their birthday party. And we hadn't seen them since they left the preschool, but it was something that he would talk about her off and on through the year.
Yeah.
And including, "I miss so-and-so and whatever." And so when she just showed up there with her dad, none of us in a neighborhood that we lived in.
Yeah.
It was such a surprise and a delightful one.
Yeah, and the fact that they really enjoyed one another's company right away.
Yeah.
After not seeing each other for months and months and months.
They ran around during intermission. They ran around out afterwards. They really had a blast together.
Yeah, it was, so that I guess that sort of skews the data a little bit for me.
Yes.
Saying that was my favorite, but
yes.
But that was the favorite of my three.
It's also fun because your parents found they found the panto thing last year, or your mom did. And so we all went together last year, and this year we went again. My mom came too. And it was fun to introduce my mom to a theater thing she'd never seen. She's seen a lot of theater. And just a nice, it would be nice to have that tradition when we're home at Christmas. If we go, if we're home at Christmas, it'd be nice to keep doing that. Yeah. And the company does a great job. The orchestra does a great job. Oh, And one of the pianists at my church, who also plays at my mom's church, was in the orchestra. And so we didn't know that. And there he was. So that was kind of fun too. My favorite, I would say the Panto is actually on par with the Lion King for me, but for totally different reasons, obviously. The Panto is very intimate and small and interactive. The Lion King is none of those things, but I've always wanted to see it, and it did not disappoint me. Just what people talk about with the costumes. I love that kind of music. It's the way they do it is moving. You might not love the story. I know Nick does not love the story. It's a rough story. And to be honest, our kid has watched the movie one time and probably won't watch it again for a long time because it made him so sad. When Mufasa died in the musical, T just sobbed right there in his seat. We were sitting pretty close, and it was understandable. There were tons of kids there. Nobody blinked an eye. It was fine. But he did manage to get it back together and stay attentive for the rest of the show. And I think it was something very interesting and cool to watch. And of course, the people are so talented. These Broadway actors and singers and dancers, they're so talented.
Well, and for anyone who hasn't seen The Lion King, I mean, the thing that really stands out are the costumes.
Yes. When an elephant comes down the aisle, you're like, wow. Yeah. That is something. And that's what they're known for. That's when, they're known for that. The choreography also really impressed me. So just the sheer magnitude of that show was awesome to me. And I'm so glad that I've finally seen it. Do I need to see it over and over? No, but it is definitely I am so glad I saw that. That needed to be seen. Now I understand. Okay. And I do like the music a lot. And now T does ask for the soundtrack. Now that he's seen it, he wants to hear it sometimes. So the other thing about doing these productions with him is we just enrolled him in a little musical theater class for like little tiny kids, for 4 to 6 year olds. So you don't need to know how to read or anything like that. It's just pretty chill. It's here in Dubai, and he had the first one yesterday, and he did in fact love it.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Yeah, this is one of those classes where you're not supposed to stick around as a parent.
Yes.
They don't want you to be a distraction.
Fantastic.
And that's great, but it means we don't get to watch him doing this stuff, which I think both you and I would enjoy seeing him doing it.
Absolutely. But I did find out today from the owner of the company that there will be a little presentation for parents.
Ah, great.
So we will get to see something.
But, when I went and picked him up, I did see like tiny little bit of the tail end of it, and you just see how engaged he was and the big smile on his face. And he told us right away that yes, he liked it and wanted to keep doing it. Because technically it was a tryout,
right? I paid for one class, and then now I've paid for the rest of them since he was a for sure. But I didn't want to, if he hated it or felt awful about it, I didn't want to pay for the whole thing just in case. He is very athletic and he does sports. And he's pretty good at it, but he's also very competitive. And then at home, he likes the theater stuff. He will sing, he will dance at home. And I, as a boy, and especially here in this culture, I don't necessarily see as many arts promoted in general. I really wanted him to have an experience where he at least gets a chance to try it before he's too old and self-conscious to try it. I wanted him to be introduced to doing this before he feels like he can't. And maybe he'll never feel that way, but I have seen boys who maybe are more naturally that way go, oh, I don't know, my friends don't think of me that way. I've seen that happen. So I always joke, but it's true, that Chris Pratt is an actor, a very famous actor. He's been acting for years, decades.
Also my close personal friend.
Because he's not actually, but because
I actually interviewed him when he was a high school athlete.
Yes.
I covered him in a couple of different sports.
Yeah.
When I was first out of college, I was working part-time for a newspaper, and he was basically one of the athlete stars at one of the local high schools there.
Right.
And so I have, talked to him at like state wrestling, for example.
Exactly.
And so yes, he's kind of the person that you like to use as an example for for what you would like to see T eventually become.
Yeah, or at least be comfortable with all sides of himself that way. I don't expect him to become a famous actor, but I want him to feel free to explore all the sides of himself and enjoy them. And that's easier said than done. There's a lot of societal pressure in the world, and I get that. I was certainly succumbed to that myself as a young person, but at this point I go, I know the things that feed your soul and want to give them a chance to thrive. But I do use that example about Chris Pratt with students too, and with students' families. Like, hey, this guy did both. He did both. And I would venture to say that served him pretty well. So anyway, he's a great person in general. Chris Pratt, we like him. And I'm moving on.
So that's an example of some of the things that have happened since we come back. Do you want to move into coming back here to Dubai, or are there any of these other things you feel it's important to get to?
I do think it is really important to mention that Nick fell asleep at the dinner table while we were with friends.
This was, of course, during the first week we were back, and one of those days where I was up in the middle of the night with tea.
4 a.m. if not 2:30, but it had been like 3 days in a row like that. So,
and it was a light switch flipping sort of circumstance where I'm fine and we're having our conversation, and then I am like, I can't keep my eyes open.
I mean, he was literally asleep at the table. I was like, Nick, hello? And we were out at dinner, and it was just so funny. And these are people we love. We have spent lots of time with them in the past. These are very, very close friends. And I keep trying to put the offensive on them, like all the reasons to visit Dubai. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it was important to us to spend time with them. So it was just such a bummer. I was really tired too, but it was just such a bummer because we definitely had to end the night a little earlier, I think, than we had originally thought we would. We just couldn't stay awake.
Yeah. Well, that's part of jet lag.
Yeah. And they did come over on our last night, or no, 2 nights before we left. And we got hours with them at my mom's, which was still nice to have.
Well, speaking of jet lag, how was the jet lag come back? Because once again, your 14-hour flight, and your 12-hour time zone change. How was it coming back here?
8 million times better. The biggest thing I think was tea was a lot better. So the first night for all of us was pretty rough. The second night was a little bit better. And the third night was like pretty normal.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I don't remember it being a huge issue when we came the first time.
I do.
I thought I thought we were better coming this direction than we were going back.
Oh man, I remember being tired, going to bed at like 7, 8, 9. I was like, oh my gosh, is this gonna be my new schedule? Am I gonna go to bed at 9 p.m. now? Am I gonna be that responsible adult? No, that was jet lag. I switched to 11 p.m. and like normal after I was past the jet lag. I definitely remember that because I was really paying attention to it when we first moved here. So this was way better. We were normal much quicker. T got into school with a full night's sleep.
We arrived on Friday with school starting Monday, and we knew that we were taking a chance that there was not enough time to adjust and that he might be way out of kilter for his first day back at school. And it wasn't. He wasn't 100% back on normal schedule, but he was enough on normal schedule that day was fine. Yeah,
and we're getting to bed earlier than normal, I would say, because of that. He was, and here's how it works with when you fly to Dubai from Seattle, from the West Coast, you lose an entire night. You leave on a Thursday. We left it Thursday at 4. We got to Dubai at 6, whatever, on a Friday. So you lose an entire night of sleep, essentially. Now, so that's why you wish you could sleep on a plane, or hope you can sleep on a plane. T did actually sleep much longer on the plane this time, 5 or 6 hours. So it definitely helped.
Well, I mean, the big reason for that is because it wasn't a full flight.
Well, yes, that's true. And you were able to move, so then T could stretch out on the row that we had.
Yeah, exactly. He got 2 seats to himself, and that allowed him to be in a better sleeping position.
Yeah. Now, next time we're on a flight like that, somebody needs to claim a whole row in the middle earlier, because lots of people were doing that. So plenty of adults also got full nights of sleep. And I have had a rota myself before, I think when I flew to London. And I did actually sleep, but I cannot sleep sitting up like that. I think maybe if I had my night guard, but I did not. Anyway, it's hard. But coming back was not that hard, actually. It was much better.
There's another aspect about coming back that was not hard, and that is the weather we came back to.
Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
So tell us a little bit, first of all, what was it like before we left there in mid-December?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it on our last episode. So it was like mid-80s. And my mom was really like, oh, this is so hot. We were like, compared to how it has been, this is great. But, still sweating. And then we left for Seattle, came back to
mid-70s.
Oh,
I mean, it's 10 degrees cooler now. And
honestly,
it was like perfect.
This is my absolute ideal weather.
Yeah, and perfect for those of us from Seattle.
Yes, this is what Seattle summers were in the 80s. They're not this way anymore. But this is it is perfect. The only thing I would change is making the air quality a little
But
better.
even that, I mean, like, especially the first few days.
It's much better than it was.
I mean, we could, for the first time, I was able to make out all the buildings downtown.
I know.
From our window.
And the ocean, we're just looking at the ocean. It's clear. It's lovely. Suddenly you're like, okay, this is why people stay here. Wow. So I think you get 3-ish months of this between December and end of February. And you have to soak it up. You need to be outside as much as possible. And we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going for like walks every morning.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And we are getting tea out like after school.
Yeah.
Most days.
Yeah, we're going to the cat park. We are walking to the cat park. And so is everyone else in the neighborhood, which is awesome. I mean, all the other kids seem to be out there. So if we're not, he has that little class one day a week. But other than that, we're basically going to the cat park. And he is loving it. He's starting to meet some other kids that way. He played a little soccer or football, as they say here, with some kids last week. He's climbing trees today. He will dig in the sand with his little 2.5-year-old buddy who lives in our building. And whose parents also work at school. Like this is turning out into, I was like, this is another way we build community. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And then we ran into our friends who live around the corner, also at the cat park. I was like, okay, we can get there. This is helpful.
Yeah, I would say that the first week and a half back has been it's been great.
It has. It really has. It feels okay. We are going to build community. We, in addition to like this, the cat park. I didn't know that's how we were going to do it. I think, I definitely mentioned to our friends that like we need to be better about building community. I'm going to work harder at it. They're also, I think, including us intentionally too, knowing that. Mm-hmm. And so we've gone to the beach a couple times with them, and they have a whole group that they invite to the beach, and whoever can come comes. And so we're starting to get to know people a little bit more. T's getting some routines around that. We also included them and another couple that we've met through them to see if they wanted to hang out. And oh my gosh, it's going to work, I think. Mm-hmm. So, and then I also I talked to a couple of teachers that I know who are also new, but not new. One's not new to Dubai and already has community here, but our kids get along really well. And they're all new to DAA this year. And so we're going to do a little play day after school on Friday with the moms. And I'm like, okay, we're doing it. We're going to build some community. This is so important for T and important for us too. We don't want to be miserable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're obviously motivated to take advantage of this weather while
Yes.
we've got it, because we
Yes.
know it's not going to last forever.
Yes. I mean, get me out into the weather. This is so lovely.
Yeah. After when we arrived in August, basically being stuck indoors for a couple of months,
And
we know that that's coming again.
Yeah.
And so we're motivated to make the most of our time that we can be outside.
Yeah.
That we can.
Now we are committed, T and I, to the pond park, even in the super hot weather, but it is not as pleasant. Mm-hmm. It's just essential, but not fun.
Yeah. Although we did, when at the cat park, we ran into somebody we had met once who told us that actually it's a little easier going into the summer because it's gradual.
Right.
And it's like, oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. So that you end up staying outside maybe a little longer than you would on the flip side when it's getting super hot.
That makes sense. Like after your summer break, it's harder. Yeah, I can totally see that. So basically, it's been a really good return. We are glad to be here right now. We're also taking advantage of it. Like the first weekend, I didn't put this in our agenda, but our first weekend, you were not feeling well. And I was basically recovered. And so T and I went out adventuring a couple times and joined some friends one day. And then I took him to a new area of Dubai that I hadn't been to, called, what was it called? Oh, Dubai Creek Harbor. And it's a still developing area, which I would argue is everywhere. But it's very pretty. It's very similar to Dubai Marina. It's kind of in this big, except it's in a big circle. But the area that you walk along the marina is very similar. It's like restaurants and stuff, but it also had lots of play areas along it. There was the coolest play area, which is the reason we went there because I read about it, was mostly closed. So that was unfortunate. And there's no signs to tell you when it's going to open or why it's closed. You just don't know any of those things. So, but there were little play pockets along the whole walk. So it was still nice. And then T and I got lunch and it was just this gorgeous day. He had a good time, even though he didn't get to do the big play area. I've since heard there are a couple other play areas over there that we should try. So maybe when we have a day where we don't have anything, that's a place to go. It was very pretty. Of course, it's new and fancier, but I think less expensive than Marina at this point because they're still developing and trying to draw people in. So I appreciated that. They also had some free parking.
Okay.
That's always nice.
So there you go. It's Dubai Creek Harbor.
It's like Dubai Creek Harbor Marina, not to be confused with Dubai Marina.
Yeah, definitely a different part of town, and we'll be going back, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, you need to see it.
So maybe in a future episode, we'll be going into a little more detail about that particular neighborhood.
Yes, exactly. And then we've been to the beach again, and this is a fun time to be exploring.
Yeah. The beach, we'll say, great place to go for the beach, maybe not so for the water.
That's right. Okay, so absolutely. I'm going to talk a little bit. Well, maybe we should just go into our final phase of every episode.
Oh, you want to go into the excellents and boguses?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
so I'll start. My excellent is, in fact, beach days with our family friends. I'm going to call them our family friends because I feel like we talk to them a fair amount. I really enjoy them. We like their whole family. So we've now been to the beach with them twice since we've returned. So once each weekend and then twice before we left. And they are gatherers. Mm-hmm. They gather people. They're just inclusive gatherers. And I love that about them. So beach days with them, they go every Friday in this weather. Although last week it was Sunday. We cannot join them this Friday because we made this other play date. But in the future, we'll try to make that a routine because it's so nice.
Well, and you've pointed out that there's now a WhatsApp group specifically for people going to the beach.
Yes, she was like, I've been sending this to 12 different people. I was like, smart move, making a group. Yeah, so I think beach days is my excellent right now. I'm not a person who's like, get me to the sand, but I do love a beach scene. And I do love the ocean. Now, the ocean is freezing right now for me. And so, and T actually went in there one day and was like, actually, no.
Yeah, it's not freezing just for you.
That's true.
I mean, if you remember, we had the one person from our group that went for a swim.
That's true.
Just the other day and came back and said, wow, that's cold.
Yeah, and she's lived here for years. But she was like, well, I just went to float. And I was like, I could do it. I probably would do this if I were in a different place. But why? I don't need to. So we just kind of hang out in the sand and whatever. The beaches here it's really cool. There's boardwalks and there's wheel paths and walking paths, and there's lots of little cafes and places you can get stuff along the way. And this particular spot we were this last week had a place called Philly, Filli. And I've talked to my Indian coworker who said, oh, yes, we love that spot. I mean, they're all over. So she was like, oh, I showed her a photo. And we were able to get iced chai, which is really the Indian karak with ice. It was yummy, yummy, yummy. They had little Indian toasties. It was good. So, but there's other places along the beach too. So there's an Arabian tea house along the beach, which we've talked about. There's lots of other places. So the beach here is rad. Like you should definitely go if you're in town.
One thing that's nice is that, especially on the weekends, the Dubai crowd is a late crowd.
Yeah.
And honestly, you want to be at the beach probably not during the middle of the day anyway.
Yeah.
And so we went in the AM and got there before the crowd, even though we weren't there early in the AM.
No.
We were like late
10:30-ish.
And we were fine. And it's not so much finding room on the beach, it's finding parking.
Oh, yeah, the parking. Yeah, and it's free on Sundays. We were there on a Sunday, so that's great. But yeah, shocking. It was such a crowded beach area in general, and everybody was waiting for parking spots when we left. But when we got there were plenty to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, there is somebody who basically blocked traffic for 5 minutes to get our parking spot.
I know. And no one honked because they all understood. Because, there is plenty of honking here. That did not happen at the beach. So, yeah, that was my excellent. What's your excellent?
Okay, so my excellent is kind of a community excellent.
Yes.
In a sense. More my family excellent. And so anytime my family has a family gathering, basically I am in charge of making something called Patterson dip.
Because your last name is?
Patterson.
Exactly.
And it is very simple. It is a cream cheese based garlic dip. It's not hard to do. It's not complicated to make.
But it's fresh garlic.
Yes.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, and it's been decades now, I somehow became the designated person to make this for all the family gatherings.
Yeah. I mean, you've had a cousin make it now and then.
But it's mostly me.
It's mostly you.
Mostly me. And I've gotten a lot of practice. So I've gotten, I would say, pretty good at doing it. Oh, yeah.
No one complains about your dip.
And, we were not home for Thanksgiving. So I was not there to make the dip for our Thanksgiving family get-together.
Yes.
And from what I understand, it was a little different. It was a little maybe... not as solid.
Yeah.
So anyway, because we were home for Christmas, I was happy to volunteer again.
Yes.
And it was like getting right back on a bicycle.
Yep.
Your mom actually got a mixer specifically.
It was so sweet.
So that I was able to do this without having to overwork my hand and arm.
Yeah.
And and I think everyone was very happy to have, the dip in the normal way.
Yep. The original recipe
for Christmas Eve.
Yes. And you were very happy to make it, and we were very happy to have leftovers at my mom's. It is famous within everybody who attends any Patterson gathering. Mm-hmm. And just to be clear, that includes a lot of people who aren't Pattersons or related to the Pattersons. There's always other people there, and they also all know and appreciate the dip. Unless you don't like garlic, in which case you just shouldn't speak up. Right? Okay, but it is yummy.
Yeah. So that was my excellent. How about we move on to the boguses? What was your bogus?
Well, my bogus was that despite spending all of that time with like 2 plans a day for 2.5 weeks, I just still feel like I did not get enough time to really connect with people. And we did a lot of running around, but we didn't. And I did connect with people. And yet I was like, I really wanted one-on-one time with this person, and I really wanted one-on-one time with this person. I just couldn't get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be a challenge. You have a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, it's a challenge for you to be able to hit everyone.
Yeah. And Nick is an only child, and I am one of 3 to 5, depending on like I have step siblings and siblings, and we all stay in touch. And so trying to see all those people is hard. And then I also want to see close friends. And I do really value connection. It's very, very important to me. And I definitely don't connect as well as I used to since having a kid in general. So, and I also want to make sure that you get connected. So then I'm also like, do see somebody, go see somebody. And so it's just, connection is the most important thing to me. It absolutely 100% is. And so, yeah, I will probably always feel like I'm not doing quite enough. And partly for me and partly like, I want that person to know I care about them. That's a big part of it.
Okay, so that's your bogus. Mine has to do with the car. And actually...
oh my God, we didn't even talk about the car.
Well, now I'm going to talk about it because it's my bogus.
Man.
So we had 2 cars before we came to Dubai.
Yeah.
And obviously we didn't need to keep 2 cars, but we did decide to keep one of them. My parents were generous enough to let us store it in their garage while we were gone. And so we had a vehicle to use while we were back in Seattle, which is important because we were going somewhere every single day.
Yeah.
And so it was great. It was great having the car there. What was not great was having it break down on us.
Yeah. And this car, just to be clear, this car is 2.5 years old.
Yeah. It should not have been
right
in a position to break down on. In fact, it wasn't actually the car's fault.
It had nothing to do with the car company, the car. It's a Toyota Corolla hybrid. And it's a decent car, right? It's always run very smoothly. It's a decent car. Nothing that Toyota did made this happen. But silly rodents got in there.
What apparently happened is that some sort of vermin managed to get in and chew on the wires.
Yes.
And that caused the wiring to go all haywire. You started driving one day.
And I was still in my mom's neighborhood, and it's like vibrating. And I was like, what's going on? T was in the back seat, and I kept stopping. And then I turned the car off and I started it again. I was like, still happening. And then I drove a little bit farther, but I was staying in the neighborhood. I was like intentionally not going to leave at that point. And I went, okay, so a light just went on. So then I turned around, and my mom was home, and I said, Mom, if you're not going anywhere, can I take your car? And she said yes. And then I had to go because I don't remember what we were doing, but we were meeting somebody or something. So you were not with us. And so I ended up calling you and like, the car broke down. And so I've got my mom's car. And you were like, can I take it to Toyota? Yes, you can. Thank you. Good luck.
And so, so we basically spent the entire day trying to figure out whether we were going to have a vehicle to be able to use for the rest of the trip. Because this was like right in the middle of it. One of the consequences of basically having to deal with this and then not having an extra car for a day or so was we were supposed to have one more theater experience.
Yeah.
And we ended up
It was Elf the musical.
Yeah, and we ended up having to not go to that because of the time and that we spent trying to deal with getting the car fixed.
Yeah. And now all of this was on our stories, so somebody might have seen that part of it. But yeah, it was really a bummer to lose those tickets. The good news is we did find a friend of a friend who could take them, and they were so grateful. They sent a photo to our friend to send to us, and we're lovely about it.
So those stories, that's Instagram stories. So a plug for our Instagram page.
Exactly.
You can get certain content there that you won't necessarily get on the podcast.
Yep. Yep.
But anyway, I mean, and then we were getting quoted $7,500 to fix this
from Toyota. Yeah. So we took it, you took it to Toyota because, it's only 2.5 years old. And I'm a big believer in mechanics and have a great mechanic, but we just, you start there because they hopefully can tell you what's wrong with it. They explained, showed the photo, et cetera, quoted $7,500. It was like $7,200 to replace the something around the wires, and then another $300 or $400 to do something else. And we were like, no, that is not possible. We cannot pay that. We do not have that. That's not, no. And then they said, thankfully, because I often forget about this, they were like, check with your insurance. And, we switched insurance when we moved to USAA, thanks to my dad, who is a vet. And shout out to USAA. They treated us very well. And now we did have a high deductible because we weren't driving the car. So we didn't keep a low one. It's like $1,000. But we did also have towing and a free rental car in there. So we were able to use both of those services. And then we had it towed to Peter Tran in Skyway, Seattle, who has been my mechanic for years. And he's amazing. He's honest. He's transparent. He really doesn't really believes in repairing. Okay. He really believes in the repair. And he got us to in total, both fixing the wires and then adding at our request, like a guard to protect against this in the future. It came to $722. So again, we had a $7,500 quote and we paid $722 total. That was incredible to me. Now, our brother-in-law works for a car company and explained that, yeah, it's a real bummer, but the dealerships are really stuck because the car companies won't let them fix things because they won't let them use any aftermarket products. And so they always have to replace. And I was like, you're really putting those dealerships in a bind because, well, anyway, I will tell everyone I know, don't get your stuff fixed there because that's such a terrible difference. I could not believe the price difference. And they didn't try to pressure me into keeping the car there or anything. I think they understood, like whatever. Would our insurance company have paid for that whole repair, or would we have had to pay just the deductible? But I don't know. But just that difference, I said to the insurance company, I was like, "You're welcome." They're like, "This doesn't even come to the deductible." I was like, "You're welcome. Thank you for the rental car and the towing." Yeah. It was really quite incredible.
So, but yeah, it ended up better than it could have been.
It was the best possible scenario.
But it was still that's definitely was a bummer of a moment.
And it took out time away from being with people. 2 different days of that. So I got a lot less time with my step siblings, my other siblings, basically, that I really wanted more time with, and something else. I can't remember what the other thing was, but and Elf. Yeah. But that said, we had friends that we saw the night we were going to Elf, and we were originally going to have to cut that a little short, and instead we kept it going longer, and that was probably more important.
So anyway, I think that brings us to the conclusion of this episode.
Yes, it was a long one.
Yes. We will once again mention that if you have any questions or suggestions, go ahead to go to our Instagram page, Nick Chels Gen Excellent Adventure.
Indeed, because we probably won't see them anywhere else. But we appreciate you. We love it when you like and follow us, and even more when you share this podcast or our page with other people. We truly do value all followers.
And of course, now we are back on our regularly scheduled programming, and we will be getting back to our weekly Dubai features.
Woohoo!
And so look for that next week. And until then, be excellent to each other.
Have a great week, everyone.